Off top, Barry Sanders' junior year, he averaged 239 yards a game. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Yeah. Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. That very, very happy man we got joining us is Marcus Spears. We are joined also, as always, by my guy, Charlie Kravitz. Why y'all messing with me? We ain't even started yet. You already messing with me.
Give me a high five.
Cut and print.
Marcus, how predictable was it that we're going to be sitting here having a good time talking football, and Domonique was going to be somewhere between cranky and exasperated before we even started the show for no reason?
Just as sure as boo-boo state.
It's not for no reason, and I'm not cranky or exasperated. Like,
there's a little bit of exasperation.
Maybe there's a tiny bit of exasperation.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a tiny bit of exasperation.
Yeah,
it's because y'all had dogs and I don't have a dog. That's what it is.
Dogs are great.
Dog people.
You should get a dog.
I need a dog. I got a cat, Marcus. How's that make you feel?
That makes me feel like you're not real.
It wasn't my choice. I didn't want a dog or a cat.
Well, obviously.
And my wife didn't either, but she was like, I had the choice. I was like, yeah, cats take care of themselves better. Because I got too many kids.
Hey,
unlike you, my kids are still young. They are not full-grown superstars in basketball and volleyball. Congratulations, by the way, on your daughter going to UT. Continue to dominate.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. All I want to say is run your house. Don't run around it.
I don't like this already. We gotta turn it on Charlie at some point.
I've done nothing wrong.
Yeah, that's fine. I ain't gonna lie.
We can turn it on. We can turn it on Charlie's Nikes. Charlie, what are those?
So
yes.
Marcus, you want to know why I'm wearing these Air Monarchs and these?
Yeah.
I'm gonna unroll and
Coach's
show you the
edition.
ankle tan that I got banned from wearing normal shoes and ankle socks.
Christ, Charlie.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's like I'm wearing
Charlie,
socks anyway.
When this show is over, go to Destin and just go out there butt naked on the beach, bro.
The one thing he asked you why you wearing the shoes. See, I'm glad that Marcus is here. It's turned on you because I gave Charlie a hard time every time we're doing the show. Like, man, show up like this is something that you care about. Show up like you care about yourself and you care about the product that we're putting out. Do he look like he care about the product we're putting out?
No.
Thank you.
Everything changed.
Charlie, you know what those shoes look like?
What?
Shoes that a guy named Charlie would wear.
They do.
No.
They do look like you're a professional dog walker.
But Marcus, and I sort of am. Marcus, you got to know this. I wore sweatpants on the show one day, and Domonique was like, "Oh, this is how you view the show. You're wearing sweatpants. How dare you?" I wore pants with a belt. I had a collar. I had buttons on shirts, and then one day Domonique walks in, full gray Lululemon sweatsuit. And I was like, "Oh, I see how much you care about the show." His response is he can look good in it, and I just look like a bag of cottage cheese.
I mean, I didn't want to be rude, but some people, right? I mean, some people can pull certain things off, and Charlie wasn't pulling it off. Charlie,
I see what this vibe is today.
Oh yeah, we are.
This right up my
we
wheelhouse.
are here to have fun. But I guess we have to get to some stuff, some serious stuff at some point. I mean, this is not gonna be serious either. We got to start with the most unserious of them all: the Dallas Cowboys situation. I don't know where to start. We can start with Jerry Jones going off and acting crazy. But let's start with good news. Our man CeeDee got paid. Congratulations.
Yeah, which should have been as obvious as Charlie not wearing those shoes. Listen, man. First of all, I don't know why it took so long. That's number one. I think everybody has given that take as well. I think it cost Dallas more money waiting to get him in this situation. It's interesting too, Foxy and Charlie, because we see Jamar Chase trying to get money 2 years before he's done. And based on this situation, it might be wise for Cincinnati to go ahead and do it. Because if you wait, you pay more. CeeDee deserves it. We all know how prolific he is at wide receiver, but more importantly, as good as Justin Jefferson is, as good as Tyreek Hill is, there's a hard argument that CeeDee Lamb may be the most important offensive player for his team in all of the league, based on what Dallas has around him and the situation that they're in. So it was a no-brainer to get him paid. He should have got paid. But more importantly, man, if they got any chance, and I don't think Dallas is going to be as bad as people think they're going to be. I know I go crazy about the non-free agency moves that they make every single offseason. But without him, they had no shot at winning a division or even competing to try to get in the playoffs. So at least that's solidified going into the season. I have something to smile about. Look.
CeeDee is a special player because he's one of those receivers that, like, you can throw him a screen. He's in the vein of Tyreek Hill in that, where it's like, just get the ball in his hand, and also he can go deep downfield. He can do a bunch, and they're going to ask him to do a bunch. And it's set, especially since they no longer have Tyron Smith, and they don't have no real other weapons to get the ball to get none to speak of.
I mean, I'm hoping Jake Ferguson, the tight end, emerges because he had some really good flashes last year. But outside of that, brother,
Go ahead, Jared.
I was gonna say, do you think this bodes well for them figuring out the Dak? I mean, Jerry has more or less said they want Dak done by week 1, which is we're careening towards week 1. Do you think this bodes well for them getting Dak and Micah figured out sooner rather than later? Because we should go back to the point after this of signing guys early and where that leaves Jerry as a talent evaluator and GM.
Yeah, I mean, listen, bro, the rant he went on was one of the dumbest things I've heard funny in a long time. But that was just, you know, like a kid have an outburst when you've told them to clean their room all the time. And they finally, it's clean that one time you tell them to go clean it. Listen, I don't know. Like, if I'm Dak, man, I'm playing this season and getting my $52 million, and I'm evaluating when the all season comes. Micah is going to get paid. Let me say this in Jerry's defense. Usually, he has a history of – this group has a history of drafting well and being able to pay their guys second contracts that play at a very high level. They usually hit in the draft. They usually do well with guys that they draft. So Micah, I don't think it's going to be too difficult. The difficult part is that Dak is going to command $60+ million a year, bro. And when you got a defensive player that's probably going to get $100 million guaranteed, you just guaranteed $100 million to a wide receiver. And don't forget, this offensive line is young, so you're going to have to either go get guys or pay guys. I don't know how long Zach has, is going to play, but you got Smith that you drafted last year. You got Guyton that you drafted this year. You're going to have to make multiple commitments within the next 4 years, 3 years, really. So I don't know, man. I don't know. This guru GM, I don't know.
See, that's the thing is there are a number of different things that come with being a general manager, and you can't knock Jerry and that staff for talent evaluation and development. But what you can knock them for is like having some foresight, learning from previous mistakes, hiring coaches, paying guys who deserve to get paid, attacking free agency with some sort of intensity. That's the stuff that they've missed on.
Well, it's also interesting because like you think about it this way, and I'd love to know your perspective on this, is it's really hard to build a team, like you said, Marcus, when you're paying the quarterback more money than anyone else in the history of football, and you're paying a couple other $100+ million guys. Interestingly, you have to draft as well as Jerry Jones has drafted. But, his comments about being a good GM, I look at being a good GM partially as managing the cap and managing the amount of guaranteed money. Because you look at someone like Howie Roseman or Brett Veach with the Chiefs and the decisions they've made to build around excellent rosters by guaranteeing money at certain points. Does Jerry just not get that? How have the Cowboys not figured out sort of how to structure their cap in a way so they have flexibility like some of the other top teams?
It's the only thing that he wants to be smart in, keeping his money. and he's been very smart at doing it. Listen, man, I'm a firm believer in this. In order to win a championship, you gotta extend yourself financially. You have to be bordering on very uncomfortable. You have to get super creative structurally with contracts. You have to take money off the books by giving guys bonuses earlier in a contract when it was supposed to be in their base salary. Those are the things that, like, bro, Howie Roseman not reinventing how to be a GM. He's just moving and shifting and paying guys. Like, he has two legit number one wide receivers, I believe, in Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. And figured out a way to restructure A.J., paid Devontae early. I bet they happy. Last time I checked, Jalen Hurts was a $200+ million quarterback. You got offensive linemen making crazy money there as well. Defensively, they signed guys to extension. So, like, man, for Jerry to say that, first of all, is a lie. Okay? That's number one. The second thing is, bro, the beautiful thing about this league, just like in TV, right? Like, somebody say something at 7 a.m. and nobody heard it, and then somebody say something at 3 p.m., the same thing, and it blow up. It's just because it was 3 p.m. and people was watching TV. Okay? It's like, look across the league, Jerry, and wait for somebody to say something at 7 a.m. and you be the 3 p.m. guy.
There's nothing wrong with that. That is a smart strategy, is to do the smart thing. You see somebody else doing smart things, you do the smart thing. And I got a question for you, just a general question. We are from the northern part of the country, northern relative to you and Jerry. So we got different idioms and sayings. This man be saying stuff that I don't get. He said, ain't nobody out here cutting and shooting like me. The hell are you talking about, Jerry? Do you understand that?
Brother, we in Texas. It is the wild, wild west.
Who he cutting? Who he shooting?
It is. Listen, that's the lingo, you know? Now, my mama would have heard that statement being from Louisiana, and she would have said, Jerry is bad crazy.
I think she'd be right. Be right.
That's one of the other sayings in the South. Listen, man, nobody can. It's always funny because we got to preface, and I hate it, and I'm gonna stop doing it. What Jerry has done well. If Jerry would have made this statement in 1996, it would have been a different connotation. We wouldn't have had a leg to stand on. That's 3 Super Bowls, boss. Like, you are the best. Man, I hate using taglines and what people say is Stephen A. Bro, it's almost we passed half 50 years, man. That we've been able to get it done. And I'm a part of that too. Like, I'm gonna tell you this too. I've told people this. There was one time when I think Jerry, and he may be scorned from it. There was one time I felt like, and it was during the time I was playing, that I felt like Jerry actually was trying to use free agency draft to win a Super Bowl. And I don't know if you guys remember. I'm sure y'all do. We got T.O. in free agency. We got Leonard Davis in free agency. We got Ken Hamlin in free agency. They went and got Mark Colombo from the Bears. It was so many, like, I think we sent 13 guys to the Pro Bowl that year or something like that. And we fell short, but we were 13-3 with a first-round bye. We beat the Giants twice in the regular season. We lost to them the year they went on to win the Super Bowl. And then the following year, these was all under Wade Phillips, who, by the way, they called Camp Cupcake, but it was the best for NFL players because we was healthy and ready to play during the season. Following year, we go 11-5. We beat Philly in the last game of the season. We beat Philly in the first round of the playoffs, and then we lose in the second round to Brett Favre in Minnesota, which we shouldn't have lost that game. We held AP to like 30 yards rushing. You're not ever supposed to lose. But yeah, man, like, I felt like he went after it, and I don't know, he may be scorned from that, but
go ahead.
But he definitely hasn't done anything since I've been at ESPN. It ain't been a move made in free agency where I felt like, Oh, okay.
There was
that's different.
One of the fairer criticisms you can make of him is he has not done a good job with the head coach decision, especially since he moved on from Jimmy Johnson. And that was about ego and all that other stuff. And since then, it hasn't seemed like he's made the right decision either on who to hire or how long to stick with that person. No one thought that the McCarthy was the right hire. You have to give him the credit, I guess, for 25 or for 12-5 the last 3 years. Or McCarthy was here for 2 of those years, right? He wasn't here for all 3 of them.
2 of them last 2.
Yeah, the last 2 years. But that's not why he brought him there. You needed somebody. McCarthy's not a get you over the hump type of coach. He's not going to revolutionize it. And then you go from Jason Garrett to McCarthy. It hasn't been inspired hires. And that issue remains. And the one thing I would say about the Dak Prescott, I got into it with your boys Stephen A. and Shannon this morning on First Take because they hate Dak and they was talking about they shouldn't sign him for any longer, anything else. And I was like, see, this is where you're wrong. We don't even have to have the argument about how good Dak is. I don't want to have that argument with you. The point is, they don't have an alternative plan. And in the history of the league, I can point out many times where teams have paid a guy and moved on from him and still had success. But I can't think that it's a good strategy to have someone that is obviously so valuable and not lock him up. You can lock him up and trade him. That's what the Rams did with Jared Goff. That's what the Seahawks did with Russell. Well, they didn't lock him up, but they locked him up before that, and they traded him. Like, you can do that. That's what they didn't trade him. The Eagles cut Carson Wentz because they had another plan. Like, the idea that you could have what looks like to be potentially the most coveted free agent coming up and you can't figure out how to sign him to a deal without a no trade clause or figure something out. Like, I think they should keep him. But there's nothing about this that made sense. The way they've treated Dak from the day one has not made sense.
Well, good for that. Because the way they treated him from day one is the reason they in this predicament. That's number one. The second thing is this, bro. Like, I heard Stephen A. and Shannon and you going at it. I get very upset when I hear somebody say don't deserve. Now, if you don't think he's worth that, I understand that. But deserve is a strong word for a dude that this organization wouldn't even be in the position they in if he wasn't there. Now, would they have drafted a quarterback later on that became a superstar? Maybe so. But we living in the now. Bro, Dak Prescott, we all know about the playoff woes, but I'm not asinine enough to put all of the playoff losses on him. The other thing is this too. When you say deserve, it feels personal. And that's when y'all were having that conversation, and I was like, sometimes, Foxy, I know you do it too. I'd be like, damn, I wish I was on there right now. Dak deserves whatever the market is going to demand and however much he can get paid. That's what every NFL player deserves. I don't give a damn if you're a pass rusher and you had 1 sack. If the Arizona Cardinals going to give you $50 million because they think you're going to get 17 next year, that's what you get.
So let me jump in for 1 second because there's something I agree with you, and I should have seized on that word, but I was catching them up in so many other logical fallacies that I didn't have time to get them on that one. But the thing about deserve, to your point, is you can say that I don't believe that I can build around him at that price, but saying he doesn't deserve it, that's particularly frustrating for my 3rd round drafted who started plenty of games and nobody was out there like, oh, you know what? He deserved more. Let's pay him more when I was playing on 3rd round money. So like when Dak was out there balling as in a rookie contract, no, Stephen A. wasn't falling on the table to say, hey, up my man. So like the deserve point is it's about words, but I mean, we could choose different words for like, I wouldn't want to build a team like this is one way to go about it.
We intelligent enough to decipher, right? Like, we smart. Like, I am, and if I've ever said it, please forgive me. I don't know, because even when I talked about Tua before he got paid, I don't think I ever said he don't deserve. I think I said I don't think I would do it. And it's gonna be interesting with the structure and how they do it. But bro, you know what it takes to be an NFL quarterback and be a good one. And rightfully so. Like, our job is to compare them in the tier that we think they in, right? And 2 playoff wins in 8 years ain't good. I don't think anybody can argue with that. But it's also like, we ain't getting to the playoffs if I'm not here.
Not even close.
It's really interesting. It's like he was second in MVP. I think like whatever money he gets, he earned. Like I don't think even the biggest Dak haters would think that. I think the bigger question is the one that you guys are alluding to, is if he's really going to end up getting paid $10 million more annually than any other quarterback in the NFL. Do you think that's a winning solution for a team?
Don't give a shit.
Yeah. I mean, I think it might be for. So the thing is, when you sign him, the early portion of that contract will be smaller than the contract is right now.
Right.
So assuming that it means that you're going to destroy your cap is absolutely wrong. It'll make the cap.
By the way, worth noting, they have $40 million of dead cap if he walks. So even if he leaves for nothing and they're starting Trey Lance next year or whoever, Cooper Rush, whatever, they're paying him. I mean, they're paying Dak regardless.
My point is, yes, you can build around, and maybe at the end of that contract, maybe your team is not as good, because that's how people do it. You load up and you try to make a run and then you rebuild. That's how you do it. Maybe it doesn't work here, but we've seen it work elsewhere. Maybe he goes somewhere else to do it. Dak Prescott is good enough to win a championship. I want to know from you though, Marcus, did you throw your mug at the screen if you were watching this morning? I guess it's yesterday morning when people are watching this, when my man Shannon tried to get me in a gotcha moment and he said, "Oh, you think they couldn't make the playoff with Cooper Rush at quarterback?"
Oh, no, he didn't say that.
Yeah, you must have turned it off. I'm glad that you turned it off.
I didn't. No, I did not see it. Foxy, he didn't say that.
He said it. And I just started laughing. And I was like, all right.
Well, you know, sometimes that camera get us, bro.
It do. It happened to me. I said some wild stuff.
Sometimes we get going and that camera get us. Listen, man, I don't respond to the Dak hate. I give an honest analysis on Dak. Dak didn't play well against Green Bay. He didn't play well enough. He didn't play well enough against San Francisco. But I'm talking about the playoffs. So when we breaking down games or when we talking about an overall general situation, it is what it is, bro. Like, and if you don't want to pay him $60 million because of those specific games, I can see your reasoning. But I can't see your reasoning if you're talking about he ain't a good quarterback or a good enough quarterback to win a championship with or get you into a deep playoff run where you end up in the NFC championship, bro. I can't, like to me, that is, let me ask you this question. All right, here, since we gonna do it, let's do it, damn it. This is an honest question for y'all, man. And this is what I always use when I'm talking about Dak, because I be wanting people to have context. Would you want Dak Prescott or Jimmy Garoppolo?
Dak.
All right. Jimmy Garoppolo has been to 2 NFC championships and a Super Bowl. And y'all want Dak. And anybody that's telling the truth to God's ears is going to want Dak Prescott over Jimmy Garoppolo. But we just we juxtapose that with the success that Dak hasn't had in the playoffs. But we would take Dak as a better player. Coincidentally, in Jimmy Garoppolo's situation, I'm sorry about the lawnmower, you had Kyle Shanahan as the head coach. So, Foxy, that goes back to your reference as a head coaching hire.
Yep.
And you had a team that has been actively invested in free agency for the last 7 years.
They went and got Christian.
And coincidentally, they go deeper in the playoffs. And they have chances to win championships. So, man, miss me with you're supposed to get credit for winning playoff games and you're supposed to get critiqued or even criticized when you don't play well.
But let's not overreact.
It's a lot of other factors.
Dude. I had to argue against some of the relationship analogies, which those are tough sometimes. So I'm going to give you a different analogy, and maybe Charlie will appreciate this one. The issue is, when you want to be the flyest dude on the first day of school, as we are coming up on the first day of school,
Couldn't be me.
we are saying, hypothetically, your goal is to walk in there and have everybody say, did you see Charlie today? Ooh, that boy was clean. That's your goal.
Yes.
And then you go home, and in your closet, they gave you a fly shirt. It's a real nice shirt. It's a Dak Prescott shirt. They gave you some okay jeans, and then they gave you some weak shoes. They hit you with them Monarchs, them running shoes that is meant for running. They hit you with those marathon trainers and said, "Go ahead and win the day." We can't win the day with these. I can't. No matter how fly my shirt is, the shoes is gonna kill me.
Yeah, you got to put the whole outfit together, dog.
Yeah, get the O-line right. Get the O-line right.
Damn, Charlie.
So, as the person wearing some fresh white cottage cheese colored Nikes on this show, I do have to ask you in the Garoppolo thing, but theoretically, so Cousins went for, I think, average value of like $43 million per year.
Right.
Is the biggest thing, I know, again, this is Dak has earned the money that he's got.
Right,
particularly with this, but
you're going to go to like roster construction and percentage of salary, right?
But if you're thinking about a team and there's a mid-tier quarterback, the guys who are worse than Dak Prescott, but not as much, the gap isn't as big as Garoppolo. Would you have rather built around like a $40 million guy who you think is pretty good, who might give you similar value than a $60 million Dak, who might raise your ceiling, but not in that Mahomes, Josh Allen way?
I think is the point that I was making earlier is I think sometimes we want to have these barbershop level conversations, but then we delve into the more granular portion of the conversation without taking all the facts. So if you want to talk about building a roster, then you have to understand that building a roster is about when and how you pay players. So yes, I think it is hard. If you have a quarterback who is making 35% of your cap, it's going to be difficult to win a championship. But that's not how it works when you sign a contract. You sign a contract, you backload the contract, the quarterback's not making much at that point, or he's not hurting the cap that much at that point, you make a run. And that's the thing that makes it hard about this question to me is that people don't take that into account. The best way to win today is by paying Dak Prescott. And maybe it costs you in the future. That you know what you do? You renegotiate that. That's what people do.
Yeah.
And you move on and you keep the window open as long as you can when you have a quarterback that is this good. And the tough thing about this decision to me, why it's really impossible decision or impossible not to, or excuse me, why it's a real obvious decision to me is because they have drafted well and they do have talent.
Yeah.
The hardest thing to find in this league, they got one. It's a franchise quarterback. No one would argue that Dak is not a franchise quarterback. You got that, and you also got CeeDee Lamb, Diggs, Parsons. You already got some players. So, like, the idea that you're going to walk away and be like, all right, we ain't going to pay him. You know why? Because he ain't won enough playoff games. Guess what? We're going to put Trey Lance 5 interceptions in a preseason game out there. Stop it. It's not that easy.
And you also got a responsibility to, like, if you're really trying to win, you got a responsibility to the receiver you just paid $100 million to have somebody that's good around him as well. Unless your plan is to draft J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
You know, like, we listen, man. It's one of the most frustrating discussions when it comes to Dak. And it's because there is that side of the coin where you got people that just take account in the playoffs. Last time I checked, bro, this about winning Super Bowls. Like, when we start talking about players being paid that amount of money, we talking about players that win Super Bowls. And there's nobody that can get on TV, or there's nobody that could tell me anything when Trevor Lawrence get 55 annually and Dak Prescott need to go to the Poe House so Dallas can be successful. Get the hell out of here, man. Can't do it.
Terrible.
Jalen Hurts, to your point, Foxy, the way it's structured, you could pay 2 number 1 wide receivers. They signed every free agency in football last year. Bro, I'm telling you. So when people try to bring that argument, and Charlie, I know you're not bringing an argument, but when people try to say that, bro, there are teams that are literally doing it, like right now, actively, that are reaching deep playoff runs or getting to the point where they having a tremendous amount of success. We just saw the Detroit Lions pay Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Penei Sewell.
And they're going to pay Hutchinson.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're gonna pay Aiden a crazy amount of money. Like, bro, stop with that. Green Bay gonna have to pay, even though they say they do these wide receivers by committee, they gonna have to pay some of them. Like, bro, it's Dallas. It's the weirdest vibe ever when it comes to Dak Prescott, because it seems like for a lot of people it gets personal, and that's what I take pride in. Like, I love Dallas. Everybody know that, and I get pissed off about bad things they do. I get happy about good things they do. I don't take it personal when it comes to players getting contracts, bro. If I didn't think Dak was a quarterback that you could win with, I'd be like, I don't know if I would do that.
That's the right. I mean, I feel like we beating this one down. The last thing I wanted but it's good to get it off a chest, because I had some residual frustration from this morning, and it seemed like you had some too. So I'm glad we could get it all off our chest. The one thing I will say, though, in closing this specific topic up is have a plan. Like, have a plan. It's like, I think back to like we mentioned the Eagles, the Ravens come to mind. Okay, I'm fine with you determining that your franchise, in both those cases, we had a franchise quarterback, but we didn't think he was good enough. You know what we did? When the opportunity presented itself, we started to plan for the transition. So, yes, if people sincerely believe, I don't believe that Dak Prescott gets nervous in the playoffs and just because it's the playoffs he's bad. I think he's had some bad playoff games, and it's happened, and there's only been 8 seasons. That's not enough playoff games to be like, oh, this guy's scared of the playoffs. But if you determine
8 seasons.
No, I'm saying that in 8 seasons, how many playoff games have they had? There's 2 and 6 or something.
It's gonna be 25 years.
What?
I'm just saying it's gonna be in 25 years.
No, I'm just saying
25 seasons.
My point is it's less than 10 games. It's not a full season's worth of games. But anyway, that aside, I'm saying if you do believe that, then behave as though you believe it. Trey Lance ain't it. Go get somebody and prepare yourself for a trend. Keep getting somebodies until you find somebody. What you don't want to do, and everybody knows this, it's much easier to get a job when you got a job. Don't be out there thirsty in these streets. And they
them streets. Let me tell you about them streets. Them streets had you ending up waking up somewhere you didn't even know you was at. Dog.
From what you heard.
From what you heard, bro. Don't dabble out there, man. Don't dabble out there.
All right, you want to do a little bit on Dion? Yeah.
I do think we need to close this by it is the funniest thing ever that Jerry Jones did say the quote, "Nobody can get this done better than me." That should be on his Hall of Fame plaque. Yeah. It is the funniest quote.
Some G now. That's some G to say when you've sucked this long.
I do appreciate that Jerry is definitely a G. He is going off on everybody just because he can. He's like, my team. He said that in there too. He's like, when I'm not having fun, that was the most amazing part to me, is he's like, when I'm not having fun, I won't do it. Get out my business is what he told all y'all.
Brother, let me tell you something. As I look at this picture of me shaking his hand before a game in here, that man crazy.
We can't get no better than that. All right, Marcus, I appreciate it. I hope your schedule doesn't get too busy so we can do this more regularly, because this is the best.
Yeah, man, football back, man. You know what it is.
I appreciate it. Good luck to you this season. You're going to be all over the place this year, ain't you?
Be all over the place, man. Monday Night Countdown, traveling a lot this year, which is good for me because I can come back home after the show. Charlie, burn them damn shoes. I love y'all, too, man. Y'all be cool.
All right, take it easy. All right, big thanks to Marcus Spears for a great show. Also, incredibly grateful for Charlie being such a good sport. Great shoes, Chuck.
Thanks.
Thanks to all the great producers. I love you, Paulville. We out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.